Time keeps on leaving and we keep on moving. When do we pass on our wisdom to the youth? My veteran story, lost arts discussions, fireside chats with a bourbon or two. It's time to hear the stories by military veterans. Get yourself ready. It's the Lost Arts Podcast. The Lost Arts with Andrew Cox. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Lost Art Podcast, that podcast giving a voice to our veterans. I am your host, Andrew Cox, and on today's episode, we're going to be having a fireside chat with the crew. But before we get into the episode, are you enjoying the podcast? Then go to the Lost Art website. That's the lostart.podbean.com. Go on there, check it out, see what we got going on. Scroll down to the bottom at all the cool websites and things that they're there for the veterans. Also, click on that merchandise tab. Go look and get you something cool like this hat, like this shirt. Do something, help support the podcast here and getting our veteran voices out for all to hear. You can also check us out on YouTube at The Lost Art with Andrew Cox. Be sure to smash, like, subscribe, any other buttons that there may be. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast and tell your veteran story or discuss your veteran business or organization, then email me directly at thelostartwithandrewcox@gmail.com. To all the listeners, thanks for tuning in and continuing to support us in our adventures here. All right, we're going to go ahead and start it out here. We're going to go round robin. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good. It's been a good week so far. A little bit of rain the last couple of days, so it's cooled down a little bit. So it's been good.
Very nice.
Work schedule's been decent. So
wow. All right.
Haven't had to try to strangle anybody. So
that's either a really good positive or a really negative thing. I don't know.
Yeah. You gotta have some fun sometimes.
That's true. Aaron, how are you doing?
Good. If we can get away from these power outages every time it storms around here in Florida. Now, the last one was due to a tree falling on the power lines, and it was out for about 6 hours. But other than that,
it seems to be a long time.
What's that?
I said 6 hours seems to be a long time for a tree falling on it.
Yeah, I fired up the generator and had some fans going. It was, let's just say, it was swampy.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah.
Other than that, all is well. Other than the news that happened this past week.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into some of that here in just a little bit. Well, to all the listeners out there, you noticed we were missing one person on a couple of episodes, or maybe it was just one episode, I can't remember, but he was on his world tour on his motorcycle, Indian motorcycle. He's representing all the old school stuff. But he was out there old school in it. I mean, you can check him out. He looks old school. He looks leathery now. He's out in the sun. Vic, how you doing?
Good. Life is good. I literally just got back 2 hours ago from a 16-state, 4,300-mile motorcycle tour that lasted 14 days, eight different destinations. I got plenty of sun. You can see the print from my gloves. So it's good to be home. I'm ready to sleep in my own bed. I did camp some, and I stayed with a lot of friends and family, and a few hotel nights. But it was a great trip. More in the future. But tonight's cigar is a cigar by Crowned Heads. This is the Healy Grange, named after a recording studio. I'm interested because this has what they call a fold over foot. And I haven't seen it on a whole lot of cigars, but this fold over foot helps infuse the cigar with the flavor of the wrapper when you light it. So those are usually really good cigars. I've never smoked a Crowned Heads before. The only thing the website said was bold, big, bold, and gutsy is the only description it had on the website. So more later, I guess. I'll let you know how it turned out.
Hopefully it's not too gutsy. I don't
I hope
know.
not.
Probably better than smooth and creamy.
Oh, and I bought
Oh
this
yeah.
in Lynchburg, Tennessee, when I was just before. Actually, it was just after I did the Jack Daniels tour. So yeah, pretty cool.
That is cool. I agree. A little jealous on that one.
It was
All
pretty
right.
epic tour.
So I guess we can jump into I guess we'll start with Vic. Going back to you, military news.
Yeah, I
You
got
got
nothing.
anything?
I just got
Yeah,
off the motorcycle 2 hours ago.
whatever. I don't want to hear it. All right, you know what? We'll just
He's
go
still trying
to
to pick the
Aaron.
bugs out of his teeth. He's still.
Yeah, that
I had
sounds
to
right.
wash off the front of the motorcycle 7 times, 7 times, because it was so covered in bugs.
Very nice. All right,
It's
Aaron,
going to
hit us
take you a week of
with some
washing and
news.
waxing now, huh?
Yes, at least a week.
It rained at some point, so it got washed. Oh, you're talking
Uh,
about.
this is the coolest part. 14 days, I was expecting to spend at least half of it in the rain. I got rained on the very first day for about an hour, and that was it. I threaded so many needles in between storm systems. I mean, it was sheer luck, just dumb luck that I was following a couple of storms, so they were ahead of me, and I was like rolling over like wet pavement, and like puddles everywhere, and people still had the windshield wipers on, but I rained on me the first day. I did get a little sprinkled on 3 times, but not enough to even make my pants wet. So it was like, but I really considered, like, I only got rained on once in 14 days. I was so happy with that.
Wow. You are pretty lucky because there's been rain going all over the
Yeah.
place.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Current events with Aaron.
Well, this one's easy. I mean, the news makes itself, right? But it's an unfortunate news event, as we all know. Last Saturday at a Republican presidential campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, our former president, 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, survived an attempted assassination. So that is really the current event we can talk about. What I would like to start out with discussing is kind of the initial kind of purview from what folks seen. And if you just, crazy thing is, I was going to watch it and I stopped watching it right before that happened. And then Vic sent us a notice saying that the president was shot. And I was like, no way, turned it on. And my initial response was, how can that be left uncovered? So I will kind of leave it there as kind of an open-ended question, if we want to discuss that. But to me,
Wise?
We've all seen the news. There's different takes on it, so on and so forth. But if you just looked at just look at the camera angles that were being shown, it's like that is like one of the most obvious viewpoints for any kind of active shooter that wanted to take a shot. So it's kind of common sense just looking at it. You don't have to be a special operations forces or secret service or any kind of extremely well-trained sniper to know that that's probably going to be your best angle.
Very true. Yeah, but according to everything that I've been seeing, the angle on that roof was too steep of an angle for them to put somebody up on top of it.
Well,
but
the problem
they
with
had
that
secured
is
inside.
yeah, but the
inside of the
problem with
building.
the problem with that is we had other camera shots that showed them on a steeper angle building.
Yeah,
the counter sniper teams.
yeah. They and then the one guy, and I don't know how true it is, but I saw a clip of the guy, or a not a clip. It was just a screenshot that he apparently came on social media and said, "Hey, I was the sniper, whatever," and that they wouldn't. I had him in my sights for 3 minutes before they took the first round, and they still didn't give me permission. I just took him out, and then supposedly he lost his job. Now I don't know how true all that is, and I don't. You can't take anything and you know on social media, 100%. So, but maybe there's some truth in it.
So I don't want to go and again start help spreading all kinds of conspiracy theories and stuff like that. But I seen that too, but I don't know how much truth there is in there. I don't think that would happen that fast. Obviously, there's got to be an investigation done, right?
Yeah.
The Congress, the House, promises to conduct a full investigation on it to determine where the failures were. But just immediate thoughts, based on that are there's some complications there. And the more you watch, the more you dig into it, the more you watch videos of trained snipers that comment on it, former Secret Service agents that comment on it. It's like kind of a counter sniper shot from that position. And if he's kind of ducked down on the other side of that roof, you don't want to just start opening fire, right? And miss a shot and then hit somebody else, right? That looks bad on you. But at the same time, it's like we do know now, and more of it's coming out, that they were well aware of a threat well in advance. I would say well in advance. If it's, I've seen some that say 20 minutes. Well, I've seen some that say a minute and a half. Some of the videos floating around on social media in the interwebs is people, attendees that were kind of standing in that area and showing him on camera and then telling the law enforcement officers. Now there is the story about the two officers going up and trying to get on the roof, and apparently he turned, pointed at them, they ducked down, and right after they ducked down is when he laid down, got in the prone position, and started shooting. Again, that more of that information will probably come out in investigation, but
I hadn't heard that part.
yeah, I've heard that one. Well, I've seen that one actually on kind of some of the news video clips and stuff, and some of the reporting coming out of the local from the local officials. I don't remember their names and their titles specifically, but now again there was notification of a threat prior to. I've seen on national news channels where apparently the parents were concerned and hadn't seen him for a while, so they called the local police and reported him missing apparently earlier that day within a few hours.
Wow.
So again, just a lot of red flags, a lot of questions that need to be answered. And my biggest concern, kind of where I wanted to go with this, is yes, we've had assassination attempts on presidents in the past. We've had presidents assassinated in the past. We all know that if we know our history. Reagan was the last one that was attempted to be assassinated. Kind of a little bit different situation, but at the same time, are we really at that point where political warfare, I guess if you want to call it, has bled over into physical warfare, where again this kid's got to have some mental issues. But then you look at the whole situation, it's like this dude is out in broad daylight, people are videotaping him and yelling at the cops saying, hey, he's on the roof, he's on the roof, he's on the roof, and he still just makes an attempt to pull the trigger. Unfortunately, an attendee of the rally was killed, unfortunately, firefighter, and all the stories we've seen about him, he was covering his wife and daughter, so God bless his family, and I pray for them, but at the same time, people that attend these things shouldn't have to worry about getting shot either, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. It's kind of like those the shootings at the concert that happened in Vegas and different things like that. That people shouldn't have to worry about that. Um, but then, that's going to bring us into, again, another discussion about the right to bear arms and your firearms. It's going to happen. In fact, they've already started talking about it, but, just another blessing right there to talk about. But speaking of the firefighter, he was a chief, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right? Fire chief?
Retired fire
Yeah.
chief.
Okay. And he is like 54, something like that.
I believe
But
let me see.
he, I mean, good for him. And
50
we
years
all,
old, Corey Compertori.
yeah. And we all hope that we would be the ones to be able to jump in front of and save the family or shield the family and stuff like that. But people just never know, until they're in that situation. But good for him that he did that. He did save his family's life, because if he didn't jump in front of him, somebody else would have been dead. So,
Yeah, so and since this is more of a veteran focused podcast, Andrew, and I know we do this to help veterans and stuff like that. One thought crossed my mind is, and it was mentioned, Secret Service is kind of shorthanded, especially with all the coverage they've got to do nowadays. I get that. That's one thing. But has there ever been, and I know local law enforcement as well, so on and so forth, but has there ever been any kind of, and I'm sure they're out there, it's probably something we need to look into, but veterans organizations that kind of assist with things like this when it comes to security and so on and so forth. I'm not saying,
yeah.
hey, we're going to form a counter sniper team and put them on a roof, but I think just kind of a deterrent of veterans standing around the area, line, maybe in the building, around the building, so on and so forth. That's another thing I heard, is apparently there was a response team in the building. So if a lot of questions need to be answered about this certain situation, but kind of back to the whole veteran point is in our schools, why are we not making a better effort? There's plenty of veterans out there that probably could use a job or a side job or something like that. And I'm not saying we're all fit to be in that position, because, let's be honest with ourselves. Not every veteran after retirement, whether they're medically retired or, regular retirement or even just exited the service are in the mental capacity to be in those positions. But I think it would be a great effort for our country, especially our local governments, to look into standing up some sort of additional kind of, I guess, security is what I'm trying to say.
Really,
the more eyes, the better.
Yeah. And a deterrent. The more people you see that are in a security role or whatever it is, that's going to be a deterrent to people.
And I get it. Again, I'm also thinking about, and it's probably just me because I'm thinking about everything when I see this kind of stuff. Is like, it's an operational mindset, right? I'm seeing people reporting this and yelling at the cops, like, where's the veteran I'm not saying everybody's capable of doing this, but where's the person that runs towards the gunfire? You know what I'm saying? Where's
True.
And all the video footage I'm seeing, it's like they're just kind of looking around, like, I don't know. Just many questions.
Yeah, that's very true.
I think there's going to be way more questions than we're ever going to receive answers for.
Oh, I'd agree with that. And I'm curious to watch it on, when the Congress gets together and they do the questioning and stuff. I'm very curious to watch that and see what all unfolds.
Yeah.
Look, that agency does fantastic things and has done fantastic things over the years, and continue to do that.
Yeah.
We're lucky that there's been two, Reagan and then now Trump. So we've in my opinion, they've have a pretty good success rate. at this point in time. But yeah, if they are that shorthanded, we as veterans, I mean, I'm sure some of them can apply even for that organization, although I'm sure it is tough to get into. Um, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It
but we'll keep them
is, but
shorthanded, but we'll allocate, stuff to other government organizations like IRS and crap like that. It's seriously, let's go ahead and take more money from everybody, but let's not protect the people that we're supposed to be protecting.
well,
Yeah, it's very true. Good point.
my agreeing argument to that, Mike, is like you're going to hire additional IRS agents, armed IRS agents at that, to go to people's houses to arrest people for not paying a tax, but yet viable threats are not fully investigated and complete and full uh, responses to threats are not taken. I mean,
Yeah.
it sounds backwards to me.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, let's be honest. We're giving billions of dollars to other countries, but you're worried about a few $1,000s in taxes that somebody hasn't paid. Okay, yeah, maybe it's a couple $100,000. Well, you just let one guy off without paying over $1 million in taxes. He happens to be the president's son.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So, it just seems backwards. And to the point about them hiring, yeah, they hire. And I can remember whenever I left the Marine Corps in 2003, we did have the Secret Service come talk to my TAPS class, and, kind of get recruiting spiel and so on and so forth. The thing is, yes, they hire. They should only be hiring the best of the best, though.
I would agree with
In
that.
every position that they do. And that should be all of government. That shouldn't be, I got it. The military, you got to meet recruiting goals, right? But it's just like in the military, who gets to stay in the military? It should be the best of the best. It's a competition.
Yeah.
And just, and for what I do know of the Secret Service and having former Marines that I've served with, go to work for them. Actually, one of them's been there over 20 plus years now.
Oh, wow.
Great, excellent dude. And I'm not doubting them at all. What I would say is just there was either some communication failure, and maybe some, I'm not blaming local law enforcement or federal law enforcement, but there was definitely some failures there. And I'm sure they understand that. But again, I would rather let the investigation play out. But it's just like some of the stuff that a normal person can look at and say, wow, why wasn't that building covered? And don't give us some answer like, oh, the roof was too steep, when there's pictures and videos of 2 counter sniper teams on a steeper roof.
Yeah.
With drone technology and everything else, you can't tell
Bingo.
me they can't see that crap.
That's the other thing, drone technology. That again,
There,
buy the
there's
drone,
enough
put it
tech.
in the air, and
There's enough technology to put a bomb on a gnat in another country. We could drop it literally that precise. You're telling me we don't have enough capability within the Secret Service to be able to put up a drone or 2 or 10 or however many it takes. But they're short man. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know.
I mean, I can find some young adults that would love to operate a drone in a place like that just to do surveillance because they think it's cool. They would do it for less than what some of us would ask to be paid to go to work for them.
That's very true. Very true. They could hire out. They could do like hire young kids. We're talking like junior high school. Some of those kids are better at flying stuff, those drones and things, than people that's been trained to do it.
So my nephew works in cybersecurity, and he's got a computer science degree from college. Just graduated college, first job out of college, $75,000 a year, cybersecurity. And I was like, man, they're paying you too much. He goes, I know, I love to do this stuff. And I'm like, they can pay you 25 a year and you would still do it.
Yeah, that's when you know you love your job right there.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Well, good for him to be able to
that's what I said.
jump into a job that much right away. That's awesome.
So I do have a few comments about all of this. Number one, that rooftop, other than the complex of buildings that was right immediately behind the stage, the rooftop that the shooter was on was the next closest building.
Yep.
The next closest building, not just a close building, the next closest building. It's that in itself boggles my mind. And then I think somebody posted a picture. Somebody was making fun, like, how did the Secret Service miss? And a guy was carrying a ladder.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did
I saw that. It's good.
They missed this part where the guy was carrying a ladder, because there was a ladder against the side of the building, I think. There's also, the Secret Service also handles like fraud, right? Counterfeit and all that kind of stuff, right? So the word on the street is that because they're shorthand, they were pulling people from the counterfeit team to come protect the former president. The, what do they call it? PPT, Presidential Protection Team, or something like that. Which is why two of the girls on the team were shorter than Trump. So even if they wanted to, they couldn't have protected his body because his head was still exposed on the sides where they were at. But you also have the head of the Secret Service saying and she's on video saying this, my number one goal is to make sure that 30% of the force is women. Not my number one goal is to protect presidents. She literally said, my number one goal is to make sure 30% is women.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I didn't hear that. Wow.
Yeah. It's look it up. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
I got to be honest. I'm all for equality and things like that. But when it comes to a job, the best person for the job,
Yeah.
Whether that's male, female, it doesn't matter. Whoever the best, most qualified person is, that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and then when they, I guess the Secret Service or whoever went into his house, and you missed the nobody's talking about. There's pictures on his computer. They've already confiscated his computer, right? There's pictures on his computer in drag. Of course,
Really, I didn't know that either.
Yeah,
maybe I should pay more attention to the news.
Yeah, it might. For all we know, it might be AI generated. I don't know.
We're talking a shooter with pictures of him.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yep. And of course,
I thought you meant President Trump.
No, and legacy media is not going to show pictures like that because it doesn't meet the narrative. But when you think about it, a shooter getting that close to the president, you have a Secret Service director that is more concerned about DEI than protecting presidents. Also, one of the quick react teams was in a field next to the building, but when shots went off, they couldn't get out of the field because it was surrounded by a fence and they couldn't get through the fence. True story. So, I mean, this the whole thing was a comedy of errors.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at something, a catastrophic event happens, all you have to do is trace back the series of catastrophic events, because it's never one mistake. It's always a series of mistakes. And there were a long series of mistakes that led to this.
Yep.
And it too many to think that it was all just happened to be coincidental. Apparently, the local police force told the Secret Service they didn't have enough people to cover that roof. But
wow.
again, it wasn't just a roof; it was the closest roof, and people knew about it. I mean, there's already been people online posting videos. We told the police, we told them this guy's got a gun a minute and a half out. There's a fucking ladder on the side of the building. And then stuff online, again, we haven't confirmed the authenticity, but there's people online saying the shooter saying, rules of engagement, I wasn't allowed to shoot until he shot, but I took the shot anyways. I'm glad I did. There's too many things, demand answers, but there's too many things that are coincidental.
Yeah, it's just conspiracy after conspiracy now
Yeah.
of, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
why was all this shit allowed to happen? Who saw it
Yeah.
happen? Okay, no, we're going to let this happen. Or,
And
yeah,
then when it failed, the guy's brains got blown out. I mean, they shot the shooter in the head, like
yep,
so he couldn't say
yeah.
anything, or there's no testimony from the shooter, So there's too many things. I mean, and that's exactly what the counter sniper should have done, immediately eliminate the threat. You don't wound a sniper, you take them out, and I get that, but like there's no asking this kid why, how, and when. But I will say, I've said it many times in the past, we are in a current phase of our civilization and our society where feelings are more important than facts. And when we have a political party doing and saying things to elicit the most fear possible, and by that I mean calling your political opponent Hitler,
It
then
happens. Yeah.
what do you think is going to happen? Ultimately the shooter is responsible for pulling the trigger. But the rhetoric from the Biden team saying Donald Trump is just like Hitler to elicit the most fear possible, because feelings are more important than facts, right? To elicit the most fear possible. What do you think is going to happen? Somebody that's a little bit off the rocker, missing a couple screws, a couple sandwiches short of a picnic, is going to take a shot. And that's exactly what happened on a rooftop that was unguarded, the closest rooftop that was on. I mean, it's too many things that like are too coincidental.
Yeah.
And even then, Biden's quoted as saying he was going to put a bullseye on Trump.
Yes.
Are you serious? I didn't
So
know
to
that.
me, that
We
needs to be investigated right there, just like January 6th riots and all that bullshit.
Wow.
Yeah, he flat out said it. I was in
Yeah. We need to
put a
put a
bullseye
bullseye.
on.
We need
Yep.
to put a bullseye on Trump.
Hmm.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen?
Well, what he meant was our focus needs to be on Trump. We'll say our focus needs to be on Trump then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I again, since I'm current events, I'm looking some of this stuff up as we talk too. So
Yeah.
out of the Associated Press, the special agent in charge of the Pittsburgh field office, because it was mentioned a couple of times, I mentioned it once. We have no indication of mental health issues. So just their initial indications, no mental health issues with this kid. So, I mean, even a sane person can be driven insane with all the comments. Like he's a threat to American democracy.
Yeah.
I mean, when I hear he's a threat to American democracy, if they said that again, well, terrorist, right? If a terrorist is a threat to American democracy, I'm going to try to take them out.
Yeah.
I haven't heard. Have you guys heard where he got the rifle from?
His dad.
His dad.
His dad's rifle. And I
that
think
his dad had purchased it like what 6 months previously, I think, something like that.
Yeah, and he had been, this kid apparently been, again, this is all stuff that's slowly leaking out. Had been going to a shooting range and basically self-training, if you will, probably getting assistance from other shooters on the range and stuff like that. But from what I've seen is he's like Vic said, he's carrying a ladder and a freaking rifle. And they even in the video, they're like, he's got a gun on the roof. They seen it in the open. I mean, there's got to be a quicker type of response capability. Even if they didn't have that roof covered, there's got to be a quicker response force. The second part to that, as soon as the threat came out and everybody is supposed to be on the same comms, get the president off the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Or get Trump off.
Get him to safety. Yeah.
And they could have kind of thwarted the threat. Now, it doesn't mean, apparently he fired 8 shots. Now I watched.
Was it that many? I thought it was like 6.
Fired 8 shots. I watched a podcast with a former contractor slash he wasn't Secret Service, but he has friends in the Secret Service, but former sniper on law enforcement, 20 plus years, did a lot of contract work, security contract work overseas. So, he's kind of got some experience, right? And he didn't get up there tooting his own horn. He's just like, look, there's a difference between a shooter where you're not re-engaging, and there's a difference between a gunfight. He goes, this was not a gunfight. This shooter opened fire, and it was actually the counter sniper team. If you're looking at the stage, the information that he got from Secret Service, his buddies, quote unquote, the team on the right that you don't really see in any photos, unless it's an aerial photo, the team on the right roof is the one that took him out because he had a higher angle and a better shot.
Oh, no
The
kidding.
ones that we see in the photos, which you've kind of heard some of the stories that, you know, he quit or he left the team. Anyway, all that to be said, he didn't take the shot. You kind of see in the video where he kind of looks up and then ducks down.
Yeah.
He thought they were being engaged. They were being engaged by him because the angle that they could see him shooting at looked like it was shooting towards them.
Wow.
But it was the other team, and they said that he was using a 300 Win Mag, which would have taken his head completely off. And apparently the other team was using basically a 223 556 platform, and you know, basically got a headshot in on him and killed him right there. There's another video or picture rolling around with an FBI agent spraying the roof off with water. So
yeah, I did see that video. Yeah.
Why this early are you cleaning the roof off? I mean, I would think that they would take at least a week to try to get fingerprints and all kinds of, you know, stuff that they could get for evidence, you know.
Maybe it only took them that night.
Yeah.
There was plenty of law enforcement on the ground there, so maybe they all worked together and got it all figured out right away, lickety split, you know.
Yeah. Well,
it's possible. It's possible.
I'm not saying I'd ever do anything like that, but let's say it was one of us, prior military, they would probably spend a week just investigating our home, our computers.
Oh, yeah, that's true statement.
Now apparently they do have his computer and phone and all that, and they're still looking at it, but ain't nobody coming near this place for a while because they'll have it secured, you know, doing a thorough investigation to try to find a motive, you know.
So I was just looking online for the photo I was referencing earlier. Apparently, it is a fake. So just to be transparent and correct. So yeah.
What was it?
Because I saw a photo of him like in a choker and in a black dress and all that kind of stuff.
It is fake.
It was a fake photo. Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Well, here's another one. He was in a BlackRock commercial a few years ago. That has been confirmed.
A what?
BlackRock did a commercial at his high school a few years ago, and he was basically in the classroom when they filmed it. So that conspiracy is running around.
That's wild.
Yeah, because BlackRock owns everything. So I mean,
that's crazy. Huh. There's so many conspiracies, and you know, it's not on one side or the other; it's on both sides. There are so many conspiracies that I heard somebody saying that, you know, Trump, whenever he got down, he didn't actually get shot, and that it was all, you know, fake or whatever. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, it's crazy. Both sides of the fence.
I'll tell you, so the left kind of stirred that rumor by their initial headline with Trump is ushered off stage after falling and some loud noises were heard. That was kind of like their initial headline. I think it was MSNBC. My apologies. So It was like, are you freaking serious? Apparently they updated it later. But literally, Vic let us know, and I immediately turned it on, and you could tell. It did sound like smaller caliber, which 223 556 is smaller caliber. But it was like, that was obviously a gunshot.
Yeah.
Several of them.
There was no doubt.
A lot of agencies were reporting it as an incident. It was an incident.
An incident. Yeah, just an incident.
Just an incident.
Yeah.
It took a whole day almost for people to start admitting that it was an assassination attempt.
Yeah. So, and this other guy, I'll have to find the video and send it to you. This other guy is interviewing people out in California.
Mhm.
and they're saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And this one crazy old lieutenant tech is like, "It was completely staged by Trump. He set it up. Anything that has to do with Trump, it's a fraud. It's fake." Like he's just going off, and it's like, you got to be kidding me, dude. So yeah, just a lot of crazy stuff. And on the right, it's like, the far right is like, oh, they absolutely tried to have him assassinated.
Yeah,
Biden,
yeah.
I, I wouldn't I wouldn't go as far as saying he didn't, but at the same time, it's like, man, come on. That dude
I
don't
mean,
even know
they're
how to tie his shoes on the daily. I know it's our
like,
president, but you know what?
I,
It is
yeah.
what it is. There's a reason
We
for
know they
yeah.
have really cool things that the shoehorn thing for the and it's really long, so he can get his shoes on fairly easy now. So they have a lot of stuff for it. I saw a contraption for socks to help put your socks on. Because if you can't bend over to do it, yeah, I saw that, Vic. I'll get you one. I know you need it.
And you
That's
can
why he
Um,
put
wears hey dudes,
socks on.
Aaron.
What's that, Mike?
So that's why he wears, the president wears hey dudes. I mean, he's like,
Yeah.
he can get his hey dudes
he
on.
doesn't wear hey dudes, does he really?
I do. I ain't gonna lie. I
Oh,
do.
I do
I
too,
don't
but I'm just saying.
I don't change. I don't tie my shoes on a daily either.
hey, I'm gonna be honest. I wear Crocs most of the time. Uh, Either Crocs or flip flops.
Yeah, we know,
That's what I've been.
pops.
Yeah, pops and Crocs.
Well, this old dude can't wear Crocs or Hey Dudes because they don't have enough arch support. I need high arch support. I'm just saying.
Huh? Maybe that's why you can't bend over and put your socks on very well.
I don't
The
have a
high
problem
arch
bending
support.
over.
It's the getting up part that hurts, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, bending over is just fine. Standing up, that's the tough part.
Well, the problem we all have now is you bend over, like, where the hell are my feet at?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was out fishing earlier today. And, I cast out or whatever, so I was reeling it in really slow. So I had like kind of squatted down, and I was like pulling it back in. It was like, oh, it's time to cast again. And I stood up. Man, I got lightheaded. I almost went straight into the pond. I mean, it was just it hit me like that. I was like, whoa! And finally, I caught myself. I didn't fall in the pond, but I thought for sure I was going to. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, you were
That's
pulling
your.
a Fred Sanford. I'm coming to join you, Elizabeth. I'm coming to join you.
It's the big one.
You, you did better than me. I would have pulled a muscle trying to save myself.
I forgot. Didn't you didn't you pull a muscle when we were playing softball? Yeah,
Yep. Yep.
it was bad.
Yeah.
And you still played though.
I had to take myself out of the game.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did it again. I forgot I did it again when I was playing out in that church league.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I pulled a U. I went to dive for a pop fly, and third baseman was coming in too. And he didn't come up. He didn't. I called him off, and he kept coming. So I kind of like rolled as I was turning. I don't know what I did, but I pulled something back. I went to stand up, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, I can't move." So they had to. Aguilar, remember Staff Sergeant Aguilar? Aguilar had
Yeah.
to carry me off the field, get me over in the dugout. Yeah.
You guys
I
look
Warming
forgot
really
up.
about that.
cool. I
Warming
pull
up.
muscles in my neck taking a shower.
Sneezing or brushing your teeth. Yeah, I've done that.
I'm like,
I've done that. I've been literally standing in the kitchen. I'm a chronic sneezer, and I started sneezing. All of a sudden, Kelly was talking to me. She turned around and she goes, "Where the hell'd you go?" And I was laying on the other side of the island. I'm like, "Over here."
Oh, dadgum.
And she came around the corner and she's laughing at me and she's looking at me. I'm like, I can't move. I can't move.
Help, I'm falling and I can't get up.
He's like, "Are you screwing me or what?" I'm like, "No."
That's exactly why we would not run for president.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's good stuff. Well, I guess we can move on. We've talked about the political scales and how the far right, far left seem to have more conspiracy theories than you can shake a stick at. So let's move on to some good news. Good news story with Mike.
Good news. Hello, hello.
Shit, you guys
Let me get
get
my
them ready.
paperwork out
Hang on
here.
there.
Yeah. Ding,
I thought you were holding up a
ding.
lottery ticket there for a second.
Oh, I wish. Yeah.
It's
wish
good
I
news. I
was.
won.
I'll say I'll be there in about 6 hours, Mike.
Hey, I won't forget you. There's a lot of people I would, but I won't forget you guys. I've got one. I've had it for a couple of weeks now. I read it, and it was it's you can make jokes. Vic, Vic and I are kind of in the same age range. Andrew, you're a little behind. I know, Aaron, you're younger. We don't have the old boomers like
Way
Krista
behind.
likes to say.
we
Her
don't
and
have the decrepit
Mark,
ones with us. Is that
but
what it is?
yeah, but this was it was an article from AARP. Yes, believe it or
Okay.
not, I
Yeah.
started following AARP,
That's my
but it was
people.
yep. Yep. Yeah, I've been looking into it, man. They got good discounts on cruises, rental cars, hotels, Disney,
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. So, and I do
Whew.
qualify at 50. So,
There you go. There you go.
Quick
but
question before you
anyways,
get,
what's that?
get started. Do they stack it on military veteran discounts?
I don't know. That's
It
one
doesn't
thing I can't
stack.
answer.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. I honestly don't know. That's a good question, though.
We need to get an AARP rep. Come on.
There you go.
Tell us what discounts they got for the military and veteran communities.
I think that's Vic. Vic's an AARP
Got it.
rep.
He has been in the industry for a little bit. He's what would you say it was? What is it? An agent? What were you gonna do?
Oh, financial advisor.
Yeah, that's it. Financial advisor.
Oh, first command.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's not bad.
Sorry, AARP. Go ahead, Mike. Yeah.
All right. Well, this is a story out of Pittsburgh. It's a few months old, but a woman named Julia Parsons, she was in the Navy. She worked at DC as a uh, German code decipherer.
Okay.
She had they for her 100th birthday in March. It said the city of Pittsburgh, but I don't know if it was one of the suburbs like McKees Rocks, somewhere in that area. But they had a parade for her for her 100th birthday. She was born in 1921, Julia Parsons, but she graduated from now it's called Carnegie Mellon, but at the time it was Carnegie Tech in 1942. And she had read a flyer that said that the military needed women to serve, as WASPs, which we've talked about before. So she went to the recruiter and said, "Hey, I want to join. What can I do?" And he said, "Well, do you speak any languages, foreign languages?" And she said, "Well, I took German all through high school and German in college." And he said, "Well, we need German, people that speak German to decipher German code and stuff like that." So she went to basic training, however long it was, it didn't say. And because she had a college degree, came into the Navy as a lieutenant, went to DC, and she, to this day, at that time, when people would ask her, "Hey, what did you do during World War II?" And she goes, "Well, I was just a secretary. I was just a secretary. That's all I did." But it wasn't until she went to, I'm sorry, I've got notes written out. 50 years later, her and a friend went to DC on an invitation, and they got to tour museums and stuff, and they went into it's sad to say, but I've never been to Washington, D.C. But there's, like a naval museum in D.C. Is there a naval?
Is there?
I don't know. But anyways, she went
It
to
might be at the
it
Navy
may be a
Yard.
World War II museum or something like that.
Yeah.
But she saw the electromechanical deciphering machine called a bomb, BOMBE, or a bomba. that was designed in Poland to decipher German code. And she started asking questions. She goes, you know, is that real? And they're like, well, yeah, that's what they used. And she was like, kind of whispered, she goes, well, that's what I did during World War II, but we're not allowed to talk about it. And there was actually a naval officer somewhere there that they had actually set up an appointment or a meeting and talked with her about it. And he goes, all that stuff's been declassified. You don't have to live this world in silence. So since World War II, she had lived in silence on what she did. And she said, well, why weren't we ever told why? And he goes, after the war, records were so poorly kept, especially for women in the military, because people were coming back. We couldn't keep track of who was going where. We didn't have, exit, you know, uh, interviews and stuff like that because there were so many people coming back. And she was like, I've lived my whole entire life hiding this from my family when I could have been talking about it and sharing what I did,
Wow.
but she said her roommate in DC was fluent in Japanese, but they would go to work each day. They would maybe eat lunch or dinner, but they never talked to each other, period, for fear that they were sworn to secrecy. And all these
Wow.
years they've lived in just, they actually live by an actual code that most people today can't.
Yeah.
It's like, you can't ever talk about this, it's this is classified, top secret. And she said the sad thing about all of it was, yeah, there was a lot of things they deciphered that were important. It was primarily submarine transmissions, but she said it was the crazy thing was that they would get messages in, decipher it, and finally figure them out. And it was literally, she said, that's one thing the Germans were really good at was communication through their military people. It's like, hey, your wife just had your baby, or your grandfather, your uncle passed away, or so and so got married. They were good at getting news out to their sailors and their
Wow.
submariners, or however you call it. And she said, in a way, it almost made them human to us, where they were the enemy, but it was almost like it was a human aspect of the enemy, that it's like, oh wow, they're really not that much different than we are, but they're just kind of doing what they're told to do, and that we're bad and we're told that they're bad. So,
Well,
but
that's one of the big things in war and conflict all the way around is the World War II or World War One. I can't remember when it was exactly, but it had been one because
oh
they're in
yeah,
the trenches and then they're singing Christmas songs or whatever on Christmas Eve, both sides, and then the very next day they're shooting at each other again.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but kudos for her to be able to keep that secret as long as she did. I mean, that is what you were saying, Mike. That's like that is dedication that people nowadays don't have the same,
Well,
for
and
her
that
to be
was
able
one
to
thing
do
she
that for
said in
years
the
and
article
years.
she had extreme remorse for, because even her husband, who has since passed, he never knew what she did.
Wow.
She had never even talked to her husband about it. Her kids didn't even know, what she did till she found all this out. And she's like, why couldn't, all these years I could have been talking about all of this and teaching. But in the meantime, even before she knew, she had in Pittsburgh, she had started a veterans breakfast club that, for veterans, it was like one day a week where, I mean, literally they invited veterans to come in, because she understood the challenge that veterans faced of not being able to talk, not being able to communicate, especially with or other people. But when you got them all together, all of a sudden, which Andrew, and we all know that, you start talking when you're around like people and stuff like that. And she said her biggest fear was for veterans was their mental health and the aspect of what they've seen and what they faced. And she's even set up where they drive vets to appointments and doctor's appointments. And,
Very nice.
and this woman's 100 years old and still doing this,
Wow.
and she said the biggest thing people say, well, how can you do this even when you're 100 years old? And she said, well, She lived by the motto, don't ever admit you can't do something if you haven't tried. Old people just quit. She said, I always said I can still do it, so I do.
Wow. Good for her. That
Yeah,
really is good news.
yeah.
Man.
That's
Wow. What was
a
her
lost
name?
art, Andrew.
Yeah, I agree.
Andrew, you remember when we were at 29 Palms, we had to go in and check in the band when we went to Estes Park. And you and I went to the front desk of the lodge to check the band in, when we went there for the Estes Park tattoo one year.
Mhm.
And the woman that checked us in, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, the Marines are here. You have to go down." I think her name was like Beatrice. It was like some old
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And she's like, "You have to go down to the crafts to see Beatrice. She's been waiting. She's so excited that you guys are here." And we're like, okay." So we finished getting checked in. Marines get the keys. We all take our luggage and dump them on in our rooms. And then Andrew and I, before we went to dinner, we are like, "Hey, let's go see Beatrice over at the craft shop." Um, and so we went down in like the downstairs basement, like opened up outside to the field out, whatever. So we go into the back little door to the craft shop. It's a YMCA of the Rockies, by the way, is where we were at.
Beautiful.
And Yeah, it was gorgeous. But we go in and say, "Hey, we're with the Marine Corps band. We were told to come see Beatrice." And they're like, "Hey, Beatrice, come here. The Marines are here." So here comes this old woman in a rocker with a walker, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you guys are here." And Andrew and I sat down and talked to her. And she, during World War II, was in charge of 350 female Marines that made aircraft and flew them to their dispersion points. And she
Yep.
said we would make aircraft for 12, 14 hours a day. Then we'd go across the street to the big band club and we would dance 4 or 5 hours. We'd go back to our rooms. We'd get 3 or 4 hours of sleep and we'd get up and we'd do it again. 7 days a week until the war was over. That's a lost art.
That is
Yeah.
definitely a lost art.
Yeah. I can't dance
Because
that long.
nowadays they would be like, "What's in it for me?"
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
There was
Freedom.
definitely
building aircraft.
Freedom is in it for you.
uh,
Well,
true.
not while you're in the Marine Corps, but you know what I mean.
I got my freedom now.
Well, you can give your heart to Jesus, but your ass belongs to the Corps.
That's a good point. Good point. Yeah, yeah. I like it.
What's
Thanks, Mike. That
more
was good.
impressive is that those older ladies and gentlemen uh, really enjoy the presence of the younger Marines and you
Oh
guys, and
yeah.
talking to you guys. That's really what's impressive.
When she
That's
came
one of
out
the
from that
things.
back room and saw us, man, her face lit up. She became a different person. It's I loved part. I mean, some of my fondest memories of being in the Marine Corps. Like whenever we'd finish a concert, I would immediately beeline to the exit, and then thank all the people for coming, and shake their hands as they were leaving the concert area. And it never failed. At least one or two concert attendees, they just wanted somebody to talk to that was another Marine. And, I'd be shaking hands, but this guy's telling me his story or this woman's telling me her story. And I loved hearing those stories. They just want somebody that knows what they went through and to share their story.
Yeah, and that's to be honest, that's one of the reasons that it the whole veteran story thing, because we see that on a regular basis in the band. But I one of my favorite things, of course, it has to do with marching. So as the drum major, you're leading the band, but seeing that old guy or old gal on the side of the street struggling to stand up, probably hadn't stood up in years. But man, the flag is coming by, the Marine band's playing, and they'll stand up. Their family's trying to keep them down, and they're like, "Get off of me!" But man, they'll come up, and all of them go like this. All of them, all those old timers, as it should be. But man, yeah, sorry, that gives me chills. That's good, and it is not cold here, so the good chills. Yeah. All right. Well, we could go finish it out, do round robin, and you guys can do words of wisdom if you got anything. Who wants to go first this go round?
I don't have any words of wisdom, but I can tell you that this cigar is actually not too bad. I would not put it in the bold, big, bold, and gutsy category. It's when I hear big, bold, and gutsy, I think like robust. It's not a robust cigar. It's a pretty smooth cigar. I got three of these crowned heads cigars, obviously three different types. So I'm looking forward to smoking the other two. This has got a nice earthy flavor to it. It's smooth. I wouldn't call it creamy, but it is smooth. The beginning of the cigar, like I mentioned before, some producers of cigars they'll make the beginning a little spicy to open up your taste buds. This one had a little spice at the beginning, but it mellowed out very nicely. And if anything, I would say maybe even a little hint of cocoa in it. I mean, it's a good cigar. I like it.
That's the new one. A hint of cocoa. I have not heard that yet.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
good.
trying to expand my palate.
Not weedy.
Very weedy flavor.
Yes. Speaking of, well, not weedy, but the when I was at the Jack Daniels distillery, obviously I didn't have a whole lot of room on the bike. I was able to pick up one bottle, and I got Jack Daniels bottle and bond. So it was their bottle, or that's bottle bonded Jack Daniels, which means it's at least 100 proof. It's been aged for 4 years, and if there's because Jack Daniels blends their whiskey. I don't know if you guys knew that. But if it's blended, it must all come from the same year, like same casking year. So it all has to come. It can't be from multiple years. It all has to come from the same casking years. And there's a few other things that make it bonded, but those are like the big three. So this is their bonded one, which is real nice. And on a side note, I got somebody gave me when I was in Loyal, Wisconsin, patriotic citizen gave me a bottle of Knob Creek 12 year, and he said, "Oh my gosh, that bottle is tasty." By the way, I don't like Knob Creek 9 year. Knob Creek 9 year to me is too spicy, too peppery. It burns too much. I don't like the 9 year. But that 12 year is on point. And he said, "Here, you can take this with you as long as when you get across the Mackinac Bridge, you stop and take a shot and take a picture." And I did, and it was awesome.
Wow.
Mackinac
Drink it the
Bridge.
whole way back. He was drinking the
again?
whole way back. He had it in a
Yes,
couple.
I
No
did.
wonder that ride back was so easy for him.
Yeah, I drank half the bottle. Yeah. But
Oh man.
I don't want to take
Hey,
over. So final comments, everybody else.
So
All
if
right,
you're
yeah, I
watching,
was
you've
gonna.
seen a guy riding a Indian motorcycle with a G string on. We know who it was now.
Yeah, yeah. So I like Knob Creek. I really do. Even the 9 year, but man, I want some of that 12 year. That sounds really, really nice.
Challenge accepted.
Real
I'll save it for you,
nice.
man. I'll save it for you.
Oh, you don't have to, you can drink it, but
Oh no,
you know.
it's I'll save it for whenever the next time is we're hanging out together.
All right. All right. I'll accept. I'll accept on behalf of me. Mike, you got anything?
Well, words of wisdom.
Yeah.
Let me see. I had written some stuff down. Oh, okay. Here's a good one.
All right.
The lesson you struggle with will continue to repeat itself and beat you down until you finally decide to learn from it.
Ooh, that is a true statement. Yeah. Wow.
You know, whether it be whatever issues you have going on, alcoholism or something like that, until you finally open your eyes and open your ears and you're clear your mind and willing to learn from it. It's always going to get you. You'll never learn
Yeah.
a damn thing.
I like that. That was good. What was it? There's a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous. It's kind of talks about that. I can't remember exactly what it is. I have to look it up. But sorry.
Was that the one where you got a
Apologize.
hangover, just have another drink? What?
That's my
Okay.
my advice, and it's not good advice.
There's
But
been a few mornings I'm like, God damn, I should have done that. Next thing I was like, where's that whiskey at?
what do they
Get a
call that?
couple-
Dog of the hair?
Yeah, let me get a couple
Hair
of
of the
pulls
dog?
on that baby there. That'll fix it.
Is that what it is? Hair of the dog?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. All right, that's good. That's good, Aaron.
Well, to follow up on the good news story, yes, there's a National Museum of the Navy at the Washington Navy Yard in DC. So
Right.
I thought there was one there, but again, I haven't been there since 2003. No. I think I went in like 2011, maybe. Anyway, all that to be said, mine kind of ties into Mike's. Um,
Oh, great minds.
so you are never as stuck as you think you are. Success is not final, and failure is not fatal.
Hmm, I like that too. Man, would you
Yeah.
guys scheme this up before we started?
You
No?
know.
Maybe
Oh, I see.
since
Maybe.
since it's a theme now.
We just need Mark to throw a zinger in there. That's all.
Yeah, we need Mark
Yeah, I
Zinger.
know. I
Mark
know.
has all the good zingers. 60 years on
He,
this earth will give you those.
Is he really? Is he 60?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
he's up there.
yeah.
Oh, he's not. 60 isn't old.
Him and
I
uh,
mean, in comparison to us, it is.
Yeah, to
You
you.
know, he's over the hill.
him and Krista both are 60 this year.
Yeah, Chris is the one that always seems to throw it out there that, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
we're old.
Yeah.
Like, Mark's like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, that's that 89, 99 mentality.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Age is just a number. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
My numbers are hurting. I don't
Yeah.
know about everybody
As
else.
he's wearing the tennis balls off his walker. Yeah.
My number was called when I was how old was I? 35 or 36 when I hit that wall, and the age was like, no, you're done, son.
Oh man, that's good
Yeah, I think
stuff.
we've all hit that point. We see all those videos and stuff. The sounds dads make. It's like,
Hold on. You know you're an old parent when your child who is 8 years old stands up and goes "Ugh." Every time she stands up. I'm like, oh my God. That's what you're supposed to do when you stand up, you know?
that's all right.
So my aunt and her husband took me to I think it was American Legion when I was up in Watersmeet, Michigan for a fish fry dinner,
Nice.
and I told somebody that I was sitting next to, I'm a retired Marine, and they're like, oh yeah, that, and then like it was like an older woman. She kind of poked my belly, and I said it, and as soon as I said it, I was like, I can't believe I said it, but I was like, yeah, not as lean, not as mean, and then ah. Oh, damn it, I just said it. No. No.
You
Still,
have arrived.
still a Marine. Yes, that's me. Damn it.
Oh man,
All I need
that's
now
good
is
stuff.
now I need is the fucking killer tomato jacket. And
I got you. We'll get you a killer. Don't you worry. We're gonna take care of you. We'll get you a killer tomato jacket. Yeah. We're gonna enroll you in the Marine Corps League.
Yeah.
Marine Corps League is a good organization. They do some good stuff.
Actually, I don't
They're
even know
all
if
over
there's
the
one
place.
around here.
There has
There's
to
got to
be
be one
one
around
there.
here. There's got to be
There
one
has
around
to
here
be.
somewhere. Yeah.
You
I haven't
remember
heard of one
Jaeger,
around.
right, Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like a league commandant or something out there in Texas. Or
For the VFW though, right?
well, I thought he was in the Marine Corps League too.
Did you say Jaeger?
Oh
Like
yeah.
Mike
Jaeger,
Jaeger?
Jaeger.
Mike
Yeah,
Jaeger,
Mike
yeah.
Jaeger.
Huh.
There's got to be. I just looked at the
I
map.
would
And
not have seen that.
I just looked at the map of the U.S. for Marine Corps League, and it's completely covered.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's with the VFW too, but I know I've seen him. He posts
I
up all the time with the Marine
Yeah,
Corps
I thought
League.
he
And,
was with the VFW, but
yeah.
maybe not. I don't know.
I
Okay,
know the
there's not that.
VFW. I may be mistaken, but he always has the red. Uh,
Well, the red one for him because he's the commandant.
yeah. Well,
So
okay.
for the VFW, the color of their hat symbolizes what
Gotcha.
office they hold, I guess is the way to say it.
Well,
I'm a member of the VFW, so I know all these. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I mean, I am a member, but I don't know any of the rules or regulations, or I should probably figure that out.
But I agree with you, Vic. Of all people, I never would have figured that. All of a sudden, one day, I'm like, "Is that Jaeger?" I was like, "Seriously? Good for you, man." I was like,
He's out there working it.
Good for
He
him.
has traveled all over the world. I don't know exactly what he
he
does
just
for
got
work,
scuba
but man,
certified or something, and now he's on some dive somewhere. They went, like,
really,
yeah, diving on some wrecks or something like that. I don't know where the hell all that came from, but it's like, good for you,
he
dude. You're doing
he
crap
is
that I.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, he's worked some interesting jobs and locations and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, it's very. I always like watching, looking at his photos and stuff because,
yeah,
I mean, he's gone to all the hot
yeah.
spots all over. Pretty amazing. All right. Well, you guys got anything else?
Well, I just want to say that a little personal best story. So I crossed the Mackinac Bridge, and for those of you that may or may not know, it's a 5 mile long bridge. And the bridge, once you get to the peak of the bridge, the span of the peak of the bridge is like a mile and a half wide, or a mile and a half long, something like that. But at the peak of the bridge, the outside the outside lanes, there's two lanes in each direction. The outside lanes are concrete. The inside lanes are great metal grates, and you can see all the way down to the water. And it's like 300 feet down to the water. And I was intimidated about going over this bridge, because when I was looking at the weather forecast for like the 3 days before, and it was supposed to be windy and rainy going when I was going to go over the bridge, and I'm like, oh fuck my life, this could be bad. But when I crossed the Mississippi, in I think it was, I can't, don't quote me on this. I want to say it was Prairie du Chien, Iowa, is when I crossed the Mississippi. The my GPS app showed, took me to a bridge to cross the Mississippi, and the whole bridge was great.
Hmm.
And I'm like,
Really?
yeah, I was like, screw this, I'm out. And I saw that it was all grades, and I just went the other way and kept going straight instead of turning right over the bridge. And then I got about a quarter mile up the road. I'm like, you know what? I can't do this. I have to go across that bridge, or I'm not going to make it across the Mackinac Bridge. So I turned around and I went over that bridge. I was like, I gotta confront my fears of this, or I'm gonna be a little bitch if I'm not gonna do that. So I was proud of myself. I crossed the Mississippi Bridge on a graded bridge. It grates the whole way across, both lanes.
The ones that go like this?
Yeah, yeah,
Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, your whole thing is going like this as you go
yeah.
across.
You're like,
Yeah.
mm, mm,
Yeah, I was just going to ask if it was the fear of being able to see down or if it was the fear of this
all
going
of it.
across.
Yeah.
I can only imagine, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's intimidating. It's intimidating on a motorcycle because you have to like relax your grip on the handlebars and just trust that the gyroscopic properties of the wheels are going to do their job. They're going to keep the bike upright regardless of whether you're weaving back in, because those little grates pull the tires from side to side. So you just got to trust that the bike is going to, that physics is going to keep you up, and you literally almost have to let go of the wheel and trust that the bike's going to do what it's supposed to do. So I did it. I was like, yeah, I'm proud of myself. And then when I got up to the Mackinac Bridge, I was like, fuck this, I'm staying on the concrete. But I still went across.
Oh my God, that's too funny.
But also, I also went across the bridge when there was a high wind advisory.
Are you serious?
Yes. So like I'm like leaning into the wind for the entire 5 miles across this bridge.
They let
And
you
there,
go across?
oh yeah. Matter of fact, when I got to the toll booth, when I got to because it's a it's a $2 per axle, so it's a $4 toll. When I got up to the toll booth, the guy says, "Oh, I wasn't expecting to see many of you guys out today. Here, I got your toll. Don't worry, just go ahead." True story.
He was thinking
He
to
was
himself, he's
banking
not
on
going
you
to
not
make it a
making
quarter mile down the road.
Yeah, he was saying that I don't have to pay to kill myself. It's gonna be it's good. It's okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's messed up.
but so like a third of the way in each direction up the bridge, they have these little platforms off the side of the bridge for emergency vehicles. So in case somebody breaks down on the bridge, there's pre-stationed emergency vehicles on the bridge. So like when I went past the those little outlets, the wind resistance went away. So I'm leaning into the wind, and when I passed that little, I was like, swerve into it, pull the bike back up, and as soon as I passed it, back leaning into the wind.
That's like when a semi passes you on the interstate. It pulls you in, and you're like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's good times. All right. Well, I'm proud of you, Vic. You did your you overcame your fear and
Proud of myself. Yeah.
made sure that you didn't have to do it a second time. So that's
Yeah.
good on you. Good on you. I would have stayed on the concrete personally. Yeah. So, well, hey, thank you guys for coming on, doing the podcast with me. I truly appreciate every time you guys come on. To all the listeners out there, if you're struggling, you need some help, anything like that, you can always reach out to the VA. You can dial 988, press option 1. You can also text 838-255, or you can go to veteranscrisisline.net. Once you get there, you can click on that chat icon. Any of those options are going to get you in contact with somebody that can help you out. One veteran life lost is one too many. Please, please reach out for help. I care about you. The crew cares about you. The whole veteran community cares about you. All right. With that, fellas, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. To all the listeners, stay motivated, change your socks.